Paco de Lucia, genius of flamenco music, one of the greatest musicians, recognizes the greatest in that tradition. I asked him once, what chance do I have of actually learning how to play you all's music? He said, you could probably play the form. I said, but do I have any chance of actually playing something meaningful on these forms like bulerías and cigarillas and all of this? He said, no. He also told me, you know, the mind demands innovation, but the soul yearns for tradition. My father, after hearing me butcher a piece of music that I should have been able to play, said, son, what are you playing? But the key to it was that he was waiting for an answer. So in the time that he asked you that question and you were supposed to answer him, you realized exactly what you were playing. Great classical composer, American composer David Bienen, took some lessons with him. I brought him an untransposed score. And I was in the midst of explaining to him how I could have transposed it. He said, transpose it then, as he handed it back. My 9-year-old son, I would take him to all kinds of concerts. My 2 oldest sons, it was like taking them to a bed. If I wanted him to go to sleep, I'd take him to a concert. This one concert I took them to was Cecil Taylor, purely avant-garde. My son got up on a chair at the Village Vanguard and was looking at it in amazement for like 15 or 20 minutes. I said, I'll find something they'll listen to. Then he turned to me and I thought he was going to have some observation about the music. He said, wow, New York is something. I can't believe this many people want to hear something that sounds like that. My 11-year-old son, I took him to a recital of the great David Schifrin playing Mozart, a Mozart clarinet concerto. He hated classical music, my son, but he was a clarinet player. In the middle of the recital, he goes, I don't like this music, but he's playing the hell out of it. When I was a senior in high school, I wanted to take auditions. I called Thomas Stevens, who was a great trumpeter for many years at the Los Angeles Philharmonic. I called him out of the clear blue sky. I didn't know him. He said, how did you get my number? I said, the musician union book. He said, what do you want? I said, I'm a trumpet player, such and such, such and such, I'm taking up auditions. He said, okay, son, I got 3 pieces of advice for you. Number 1, learn all of your music from memory. I said, all of it? I had a list of like 40 excerpts or something. I got to learn all of this. He said, learn it all from memory. It will show that you're serious. You're not playing around. I said, number 2, have the right equipment. If you're a trumpet player, if you need a C trumpet, see, you sound like you might be poor. Do what you, but in those days that was okay to say that. You sound like you may be poor. Get the right equipment. I don't care what you have to do. You have to work a job. Do what you have to do. If it says piccolo trumpet, have a piccolo trumpet. If it's D trumpet, get a D trumpet. F trumpet, get F trumpet. He said, last thing, when you make mistakes, don't stop and apologize. You haven't hurt anybody. You just heard notes. Then, good luck. That was it. Someone from my neighborhood in New Orleans, a couple of years before Hurricane Katrina, a guy I grew up with, 3 or 4 years ago, one of my favorite quotes of all time. You still playing music, bro? Guess y'all didn't get that one. Melly Mehta, Zubin Mehta's father, conductor. I was supposed to play the Grammys. I didn't know anything about what the Grammys were. As a matter of fact, I don't get any Grammys. Better I play them than the few Grammys you get. I was supposed to play on television, classical piece and a jazz piece. The television producers, the day before we were supposed to play, said, hey, we don't want you to play the jazz. I was like, hey, I don't want to play if I can't play jazz. We're sitting in a room with all these producers. Melly Mehta is the senior member of the room. He's in his early 70s. He sat down, he's the conductor of the classical portion. They go through why they think I shouldn't play because of something Miles played the year before. He says, when it's his turn to speak, he says, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. This one thing has nothing to do with the other thing. He said, this type of thing has to be done right, or it should not be done at all. I live with that quote. Many times I've had to say, if we're not going to do it right, we don't have to do it. No one is going to miss it. I have two final quotes that mean a lot to me. One is from Kurt Mazur. He's an old school maestro. So when we would play with the Philharmonic orchestras and he would conduct, we always loved the way he talked to the orchestras because the orchestras didn't, you know, when you play an orchestra, you don't want the conductor to tell you anything, really. So they already started behind. Because they have to say something. You don't whatever they tell you, you're not going to want to hear it, except you sound great. He told his orchestra, it's a new year and it's time to start with a new brain. Then to the violin section who refused to follow him. Went through the passage one time, they refused to follow. Went through the passage the second time, they refused to follow. Went through the passage the third time, they refused to follow. He said, look, if you would just play together, then I could follow you. Finally, I'm going to leave you with something that's important for all the music. It's important to know the meaning of what you're playing. I played a concert with a master drummer from Ghana named Yakub Adi, and he would teach me all the different bell patterns and the rhythms. It would take me a while to learn them. See, this is a royal rhythm. Every rhythm he would describe as something. So I asked him, I said, what? None of this music means any of that to me. Rhythm is a rhythm. I don't know anything about a royal rhythm. He said, well, if you don't know what this rhythm means, you're probably not playing anything worth hearing on it. Brother, thank y'all very much.